public does turn to us in tough times. In 1933 with FDR, in 1960 with JFK, in 1992 with President Clinton, in 2008 with President Obama. The economy is in a free fall, worst economy since the 1930s, 2 wars that are open-ended, blank check. Who knows what's going to happen with them? And the nation turns to us. And when they do, they tend to say, we want you to fix it. It may not be easy, may not be popular, but we're turning to you to try to fix the situation. And where we've come since that beautiful inauguration day in 2009 is pretty amazing. A shrinking economy, the only time our economy has been shrinking since the 30s, is now a growing economy again. We've had 9 months of private sector job growth in a row. Now, we're not where we want to be yet. We got a long way to climb in the economy, but thank God we're climbing again rather than a free fall. Equal pay for women, 2 great new women on the U.S. Supreme Court, stopped combat operations in Iraq, saved the auto industry, saved the financial sector, and a health reform bill that is so powerful in terms of ending insurance company abuses and providing opportunities for children so that they don't get turned down when they're sick and their families can be comfortable in knowing that they've got coverage, and so many other things. So as Democrats, we have a lot to be proud of. This is a great president. It's been a heavy lifting Democratic Congress, and so we can be proud of our president and our party and all of our candidates. And that contrasts pretty sharply with what's going on the other side. I know. Because you've seen what's going on the other side. You know, they've only been distinguished by saying no to everything. And not just voting no, but you know, beyond that, shouting "you lie" at the president on the floor of Congress. Questioning the president's citizenship, questioning his religious faith. These guys are kings at just saying no to everything, and they make it very nasty and very tough. So the fact that we've been able to get some things done against that fierce and virulent opposition is pretty amazing. More importantly than what they've done is what will happen going forward. We're going to continue on a progress agenda. We've gotten a lot of good things done, but we still have to find a path to comprehensive immigration reform. We've done some good work in the energy area, but we got more work to do. We've got to stop the war in Afghanistan. There's still more work to do. The other guys, they want to take us backward. They don't want to progress. They want to go back to, you know, repealing Wall Street reform, repealing health care reform, extending tax cuts just for the wealthiest, even though that will just completely bust the deficit, which they claim to care about. And you see them actually going back not just to Bush-era policies, but so many Republicans are running, talking about the privatization of Social Security. I guess they kind of want to go back to the Hoover era, right? Yeah. Or you see some Republican leaders even talking about we need to redraft the 14th Amendment to the Constitution and define citizenship a different way. That's like back to the Buchanan era, folks. I don't want to go back to the 1850s, I'll tell you that. So I don't want to go backward. I don't meet any Americans who want to go backward. We want to go forward, and so that's the first reason we have to win. We're right. The choice is clear. We gotta win. Second, we got good candidates. I had some really fun times yesterday. I did a couple of events, and the one that I did last night down at the Homestead campus of the Miami-Dade Community College was great. It was with Kendrick Meek and with Joe Garcia. Love standing next to those guys. Kendrick, you know, state trooper. You don't find a lot of people in Congress or in the Senate who started their career as state trooper. You know, that's a little interesting. A guy who had a great record in the legislature here in Florida, including promoting, major leader in the promotion of smaller class sizes in Florida. And then in Congress, he's been doing wonderful things. And whether it's health care reform or credit card reform or expanding student loans, Kendrick has done great work. It's a challenging race because of this three-way dynamic, but I think the electorate is still very volatile. And if we do what we need to do, we can win that race. Joe Garcia. I love Joe because he's a good candidate, but I love him for another reason. As you might imagine, as the DNC chair, I'm traveling around playing defense in a lot of races, trying to protect incumbents. I love playing offense. I always love trying to take somebody else's seat, and Joe has the wonderful opportunity to pick up a seat in Congress for it, which is great. And so we do what we need for Joe, and then I'll just say a word about Alex. Same thing. This governor's, last time a Democrat won the governor's mansion in Florida was 1994. 1994. So it's been 16 years, and the opportunity to pick up the Florida governor's mansion, particularly with the Florida governor's power with things like elections and stuff like that, you know, it would be nice to have somebody in who we know would run things fairly rather than who would try to stack the deck and do things against us. And so we got to do what we can for Alex. So that's reason two. Great candidates. How do you feel about our candidates? You guys? Yeah. And then the third one, because we got to show the nation that people power matters more than folks trying to buy the election with secret money. We're seeing in this nation, in this election cycle, two big money trends. One is the super massive self-funders, like the guy who's running for governor here on the Republican side. And so whether it's Scott or Meg Whitman or Linda McMahon or there's others, it's just Carly Fiorina, people who can just pour the money in and think that they can buy the election that way. We're within the grasp of showing in every state that those self-funders are getting wiped out and they're going to lose. It's really important to beat Rick Scott on that ground to show that you just can't come in and buy people's affections. You got to earn it through public service. Second, the money story is we're seeing the Republicans decide to just pour money in and not disclose who their donors are. And so they're shifting the financing of campaigns away from candidates who have to disclose or party committees who have to disclose toward these shadowy groups, U.S. Chamber of Commerce and others, who won't disclose who their donors are. This is a horrible trend for democracy. They got aided by a pretty radical Supreme Court decision, the Citizens United case. But that's what they're doing, and they're pushing it all over there, and Karl Rove is the architect of the whole thing. And I'll tell you, it's not an accident that they don't want you to know who the donors are. You know, it's not just an accident. They don't want you to know who the donors are because they would be embarrassed, they would be ashamed, and you would be shocked if you saw who's trying to buy these elections. It's people who want to roll back Wall Street reform, roll back healthcare reform, and do all kinds of things that we already tried and that put the nation into a tailspin in the lost decade between 2000 and 2010. So you don't need a third reason. You got the fact that we're right, and that's why you're here. You got the fact that we've got great candidates, that's why you're here. But if you need another reason, big wins for us. If we surprise folks, we can show people that you can't buy these elections and you can't be secretive about it. People power matters more than the big money, and that is what you do. That's why you're here. I can tell you this: there's probably not one of these going on this morning on the Republican side. They don't do field politics like we do. They may do some the weekend before, but they don't do this kind of stuff. The canvassing that we started in many instances back in June, you know, with great staff and great volunteers. And so I just want to, you know, conclude where I started and say thank you very much. I love doing these events because I get inspired. You know, traveling away from my wife and kids 5 days a week ain't easy, but I take inspiration where I can find it, and where I find it is with you. So Florida was big for us in 2008. It's obviously going to be big for us back in 2012. And what we got to do this year is make sure we produce partners who will continue to be, you know, agents of change, agents of progress, rather than partners who are just going to stand in the way and block everything we do. So I'm thrilled to be with you. You guys go out and get them today. I'm going to be watching Florida on election night.
Story of our
Anybody who has a folder, you want to open it up real quick? We're going to go over what you have. You're going to have maps of where your voters are going to be located. You're going to have a script that's going to be used predominantly as a...
Is it here in the office? So we come into the office?
I got it.
Would you like to have a meeting?
Excuse me.